So, we've got our next speaker. This person is crushing it in the online game. He helps men step into their masculine, into their value, high status. He was a former Air Force, correct? Counterintelligence. This man's an absolute badass that I mentioned. He is also a humble student. He has taken a lot of the knowledge from Tai, applied it for his own business, and crushed it. Everyone, I'd like to do a big round of applause for Michael Sartain. Please, mate, come up.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Do I need this? No, I'll use this for a little bit. Welcome, everybody. So listen, here's the thing. I did a speech for Tai a couple years ago. We did it over at Brad Lee's place. And one of the things that happens is, who here, again, I know that it's awesome listening to some people up here who are super successful. Thank you, Bridger. Bridger's got me with the Osmo here. Nice. Who here, sometimes you come to these things and you feel a little bit overwhelmed because you're not doing $10 million a month. Anybody? Now you're lying. Thank you. You don't have to lie. It's fine. Cool. I get it. And the gentleman who was just up here before me, that's incredible. Like, he's crushing it. There's a level of virality that happens. I'm going to start from the very, very, very start, okay? I'm going to start from a retired U.S. Air Force captain. I get out of the military, and how do I go from zero to $10 million? Got it? And even that, we'll just go $100,000. We'll go even lower than that. Does it make sense? And maybe there's going to be some pieces in here where you're going to be like, man, I already know this stuff. It's not that big of a deal. Sorry, I listen to audiobooks at triple speed. That's why I talk so fast. Yeah? Which, by the way, I recommend to all my clients. So one of the things that you guys will start to understand is, over time, you're going to have these issues that'll happen where you're going to need to give yourself permission. Does anybody here have trouble giving themselves permission? Yes. Okay, so this is going to be the biggest issue. This is the biggest issue with my clients. And by the way, what my course is not really going to be important today. My course, I teach men networking, leadership, communication, and dating. I'm like, just imagine if Jocko Willink taught a dating course, right? I will tell you to go f*** yourself if you don't do what I say. And there's a bunch of people in my course that will give you networking and accountability, and that's what you end up paying for. And I think my refund rate is like below 1%. I have 2,500 clients, and my lowest ticket offer is $6,000, okay? I offer a ton of value, which is the first thing. I have slides, but they're not coming up, and I don't care. We're just gonna go through these anyway, all right? So the first thing is this. Whenever you guys are trying to do something, what happens frequently whenever someone comes to me with a business idea, they've taken a large amount of caffeine, they've taken a walk or something like that, gone outside, maybe they're doing 75 hard, they gotta do their outside. Anybody doing 75 hard? Anybody? Really? I figured half this room would be doing it. They do your outside workout, come inside, you get in the shower, and you have an idea, and you're like, I'm the only person who's ever had this idea for this one app that makes you pay money in order to turn your phone back on because you're trying to stop being distracted. Some guy actually came to me with that app. And I said, bro, no one's gonna pay for this. But he never had the foresight to even believe that his incredible idea that he had while he was taking a dump was actually the one that was gonna win for him. He never considered it. How many, you guys, this happens very often, I'll have guys come to me with business ideas, and the first thing I do is we're gonna scour TikTok, because TikTok is actually the best at indexing ideas. Instagram, you can index ideas, sort of, like you can look at keywords, but if you want TikTok is a search engine. For instance, if I had an accountant come to me and said, hey man, I wanna make viral clips for accounting, definitely go to TikTok first. You're gonna find accounting clips, accounting crimes. I have several clients that are accountants for some reason, and I keep telling them, talk about the guys who tried to write off their prostitute's boob job. Like, talk about the guy trying to hide money. Talk about the crazy stuff like that. Does that make sense? Okay, so the first thing is, what is the problem that we're solving? So I'll start on the micro, which is me. What was the problem I solved? The problem I solved was that I saw very clearly in the space of self-help, which includes all of the guys that are my friends, from Tai Lopez to Wes Watson to Dan Fleisch, all these guys. The problem that I saw was that leadership was hardly taught by anybody except for Jocko. Jocko definitely teaches leadership. The guys in the dating space taught absolutely no leadership. And the guys in the e-com space did not really teach how to build a brand or how to unify people or how to connect people. So I decided I'm going to create the most comprehensive self-help course in history. So it's going to be basically everything when it comes to dating, everything when it comes to communication, everything when it comes to networking and maybe social circle, and everything when it comes to leadership. And by the way, the craziest thing is that running a company, leadership is probably the most important attribute. Often companies are run by some guy who wrote an unbelievable line of code And that line of code made him an unbelievable amount of money and doesn't know all about how to fire people. And has no idea how to run HR, has no idea how to pay taxes. That person, anybody here read the E-Myth? We're gonna have some homework today. You will all read the E-Myth. There is no way you're gonna leave this without reading that book, okay? I like to create content. I really don't like paying taxes. I have a guy who does that. I have a guy in my company who fires people. I don't want to do that job, okay? But look, I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead. Let's go back to the thing. What is the problem that you're solving? The problem you're solving, you need to go back specifically and figure out what it is. Now, for Bridger's right here, he works with Greg O'Gallagher. Great example. Greg has found ways, like reasonable ways for people to be able to lose weight and get in shape without doing exorbitant crazy stuff. I just saw Greg put out that video the other day. He goes, the leanest I ever did was when I would go walking every day because I don't have a giant appetite after doing 225 on the bench press for 15 reps, right? What a great way. So Greg is solving a problem. It's not just that people want to lose weight, but it's people want a simple way to lose weight. And Greg has another thing going for him, which is that he looks like a linebacker. Like he looks really, really ripped. In these other situations, what is the problem you're solving? Right? If my man over here, if he had a podcast on like how to build a brand and make it viral, I would go watch it because he's got social proof for doing that. But the problem that you want to solve specifically, you need to ask yourself a couple of questions. Is someone else already doing this? This is a real hard thing for people to deal with their ego. They don't want to admit that anyone else is doing anything that they're doing. They don't want to admit it. And like I said before, social media is the greatest way to find out if you have any competition. I'm actually I'm creating another product where I teach people how to do podcasts, and it's shocking to me how many other people are teaching other people how to do podcasts. But I'm going to teach it more from a branding perspective, okay? So that's the first thing. And then the first thing is anyone else doing it? And the second thing is, what problem are you actually solving? Now, here's the reason why I say this. Who's heard this before? Follow your passion. You guys have heard that before? It's so motivating. You're drinking your coffee, you're watching an IG reel, and someone says, follow your passion. You're like, yeah, I'm going to follow my passion. Who here knows who Wayne Huizenga is? Anybody know Wayne Huizenga? He was the owner of the Dolphins. Yes, there's a golf tournament in Phoenix. What is that golf tournament called? Waste Management Open. Do you think that Wayne Huizenga woke up one morning and said, do you know what my passion is? I want to clean shit. I want to clean diapers. I want to empty out fucking dumpsters. That is my passion. No. What did he do? He solved someone else's problem. When you as an entrepreneur spend all your time concerned with one thing, how do I make other people's lives easier? You know what attorneys are? People think attorneys are litigators. People think attorneys are deal makers. Attorneys are supposed to make your problems go away. That's all they're for. Go watch Suits. Harvey Specter, what does he do? He makes problems go away for his clients. If you make problems go away for other people, you get paid unbelievable amounts of money. So here's the formula. Some of you maybe disagree, but this is my formula. You find a problem where you find a way to make other people's lives easier. You give as much free content away as you can. And if you can get 1% of your audience to buy your product, you will be outrageously wealthy. One more time. You figure out a problem that you're solving for other people. You give away as much free content as you can to try to help as many people as you can. And if 1% of your audience buys your content, you're gonna crush it. Got it? Does everybody understand? Okay, so that's the first thing. Okay, here's me. We weren't sure which one of the photos I was allowed to post. I guess these are the ones they picked. Some of them weren't this PG. I don't need you to have my brand, okay? I want to make sure my brand is, there's a lot of attractive women. There's a lot of partying. I'm friends actually with Andrew Tate. I'm friends with Dan Bilzerian. I'm friends with a lot of these guys. Don't have my brand. It's not important. What I want you guys to do, though, in my brand specifically, because I teach networking, leadership, communication, and dating, anybody want to guess which one of those four things the men buy it for most? Dating. Very good. It's the dating. And I'm going to tell you guys a secret. And I shouldn't be telling you this, but I'm going to tell you this anyway. I sell them what they want, and I teach them what they need. They come in my course because they're trying to find a hot girlfriend, and I end up turning them into a fucking military officer. Okay? I end up teaching them. When they join my course, anybody prior military? Anybody here? Cadet code of conduct, anybody remember? I will not what? Anybody? I will not lie, cheat, or steal, nor tolerate anyone amongst us who does. All of the guys need to understand that. It was like, no, Michael, I was trying to have a threesome. I don't understand. I came to your course this isn't what I said. I was like, your integrity is worth more than anything. You will chase your dreams, or you'll chase your occupation. You will chase your empire. You will get the girls. Don't worry about that later. They were shocked that I was the one to tell them this. But when they're done with my course, they actually understand I am trying to create a complete man. I am not trying to turn you into another dude who just used rote memorization to try to pick up a girl or gaslighting or whatever like that. Does that make sense? It sucks to lie. It sucks, all right? So let's keep going. I have a BBA from UT Austin, hook 'em. Go back and stay right here. I flew special ops for 5 years. I did 2 years counterintelligence, and I was a PM at a Continental Financial Capital. I trade short stock options, and then I'm the founder of Men of Action in 2019. So we can go to the next one. So scaling a business. So the first one is we're figuring out what problem what we're trying to solve. So for me, there's another thing that I had was because I host so many pageants, I host charity events or whatever, and there's so many like female influencers that come. I just had thousands and thousands of hours of me with these girls, and unfortunately in this space, in the dating space, there's a lot of guys who are lying to you. If anybody of you guys have been in the dating space, they claim that they're way better than they are. I don't claim anything, I just show you. That's another thing. When we write messages, whenever we, try to invite people to different things, it's more evidence, fewer words. We show as much evidence as we can and as few words as we possibly want. So the question I always ask people is like, if you're, what's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio, when he's messaging those 22-year-old girls to come hang out with him, do you think he's writing this long paragraph message explaining like all the good stuff that's going on? Or what is he writing? Anybody? Sup? What else? What is it? WYA, where you at? He's like sending just a text, right? So high status people write short messages. You guys might want to write that down because the other one is very easy. Low status people write long messages. Anybody here got those messages trying to get 500,000 new followers on Instagram from some guy in Singapore or Thailand or the Philippines, and the messages are long as shit. They're so long. Why are they so long? Because these are low status people. They have to convince you with words of the status that they don't have. We talk about qualification in the dating space. My buddy Owen is here. Qualification is this. I'm using words to make people think I'm high status because internally I know I'm low status. So what do I need for that? I need more words instead of fewer words. You think about Charles Bronson just sitting there, just coming up staring when he's about to, draw on some guy in a movie or whatever. When you think about that, that's fewer words. It's more status and fewer words. My favorite is, I don't know if you guys remember Sam Smith. He wrote a book called The Jordan Rules a long time ago, where he was talking shit about Michael Jordan and how Michael Jordan was getting a special set of rules whenever he would play basketball games. And Michael Jordan said nothing about it and scored 63 fucking points against the Boston Celtics in the playoffs. And the famous line by Larry Bird, you remember what he said? He said, God was in uniform tonight and he was dressed as Michael Jordan. They talk shit, we score 60. That is literally in my course. They talk shit, we score 60. Now, most of you, my man here probably has, Ty has, most of you are not at the point where they're talking shit yet. They will. If you plan on making this any good at all, you're going to find that as you become more successful and other people comparative, oh my God, Greg, they make whole videos. Yeah. As you become comparatively more successful, their insecurities about why they didn't become successful become more and more of a problem. Does that make sense? That's why people actually might believe that Tai Lopez is worth $5 million, because that makes them feel better. Does that make sense? It makes them feel better to talk shit. And by the way, that's a great way to trick the algorithm into getting more people to watch your content. Like he was talking about before about going negative, that does work. The problem with going negative is this. If you have a coaching program, anybody here have a coaching program? Anybody sells any kind of self-improvement? Anybody? When you keep going after negative people, the problem is you're going to have a higher refund rate and you'll have more people who dive into a victim mentality quicker, so they're worse clients. I only sell a high-ticket program. I cannot have any victim mentality. You have to completely buy in with your heart and soul when you join my program, okay? So let's go to this. The second thing is finding mentors. Anybody want to guess who told me finding mentors? Very good, Tai Lopez. So Tai, probably 12 years ago when I first met Tai, Owen was the one who introduced me to him. Tai was talking about finding mentors. I had a buddy of mine named Marvin who told me, I don't like Tai's business model because he keeps recommending other people's books. Bullshit. My clients have to read 35 books when they join my course. There is no problem with recommending things that other people say, because those mentors are the people that help you. Anybody take the Landmark Forum? Just out of curiosity, you guys know what the Landmark Forum is? You notice on the Landmark Forum, all they do is talk about the only way to enlightenment is through the forum? No, that is like cult shit. That is cult shit. I am not the answer. I am just a sign, like Eckhart Tolle says, I'm just a signpost. The Buddha says this, I am just a signpost. Like, for you to get to nirvana, it's over here, but I'm just gonna point you in the right direction. You actually have to take the action. So in these cases, I recommend several books, and I'm gonna recommend 2 main books once we get to the very back. You can see them at the bottom. But as a signpost, what you do is you find these other people that help you, especially some of them are dead. Reading Thomas Edison's biography or reading anything about Steve Jobs, they can still be your mentors even when they're not there. You need to pay attention to what like it's almost, whenever I have to make a decision, there's this imaginary boardroom. It's like this big fucking table around me. And at the boardroom, sitting there is gonna be Owen, Ty, my buddy Wes Watson, it's gonna be Bradley, he's gonna be sitting right here, Ryan Stewman, Ryan Pineda is gonna be right here, Dan Fleischman's gonna be here. These are my friends that I know, that are in my phone, right? Dan Fleischman's gonna be right here, and then I'm gonna have Adam Sosnick, Patrick Bet-David's right here, and then probably I'm gonna have Jeremy Minor and Cole Gordon. By the way, they were both supposed to be here today, they couldn't make it. And then I'll probably have Taylor Welsh right here. And in my mind, when I make these decisions, I'm gonna say, what would all of these guys say when I say, I wanna make a low ticket offer? It's almost like a fake, it's almost like a virtual reality building mentor idea that I have whenever I go to make decisions. Because what do we do instead? We give worthless people and their worthless opinions, we give them so much of our value. I have so many clients. For some reason, my clients from Eastern Europe and parts of Asia, for the most part, because they grew up in very structured households, they cannot give themselves permission, and they give worthless people and their worthless opinions. They worship at the altar of these people. Could you imagine? Again, your mother wants what's best for you. She absolutely does. She does not need to tell you how to dial in the ROAS on your fucking ad spend. She doesn't need to. And your mother might, because she's like, I don't like that you posted that Lamborghini, and I don't like, Mom, I love you. But your opinion is not what I need right now. I have these mentors that I use and I go to. And it's very important that you guys figure out who these mentors are in your life. And they're all for you. And many of them, like if I'm one of your mentors, dude, there's 4,000 hours of free content of me online right now. You can find, anything you guys want to find is there. Usually you can find it, okay? So finding these mentors, it's almost like I have a round table, like a board of directors for whenever I have an idea and I come up with these ideas, right? I don't know Alex Hormozy, but like I might think of something that he had to say or something like that. Tai, I would just reach out and ask, right? The guys who run V-Shreds, by the way, they're doing like 25 million a month. I talk to them all the time about these ideas. I was gonna come up with a low ticket offer and I came out with I literally had I got Justin Waller. Oh, I forgot, Justin Waller was sitting here right next to me. I literally had Cole Gordon and I had Jeremy Minor and all these guys. I went over this idea with them and they told me, this is what you should do, this is what you should not do. Okay, so first thing is we want to find a problem to solve, and this problem can be boring and does not have to be attached to our passion, and often isn't. I'm lucky because I get to speak for a living, and that's what I like doing. For whatever reason, I have no fear of talking to big crowds. I love doing this. So because of that, this is the problem I solve. The mentors I have, we'll just use Ty. For most of us, we would consider Ty a mentor. That's why we're here in his house right now, okay? And by the way, even if you don't think it's Ty as a mentor, who here started any kind of course that is based on modules? Anybody here has any kind of course? You have a course, and when you did so, was Ty an influence for you? Absolutely. Absolutely. Any of you guys who are selling any kind of info product like that, if Ty did not influence you with 67 steps, some guy came out and made a video on his phone and did 71 million views and did hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. If that did not influence you, then you are a hater. Do you understand? If I've name dropped here today, I know I have. If I've name dropped here today and you're like, oh, I want to learn the stuff that he learned, you're going to make a lot of money. If you heard me name drop here today and you think this guy's a name dropper, you're a hater and you will be broke. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you. When Ty tells me he met somebody new, he's never bragging, bro. When he talks about Alan Nations or if he talks about David Buss is one of my mentors now because of Tai Lopez. You need to learn to be accepting that wealthy, successful people are going to talk about their successes, but they're not talking about their successes to stunt on you or to make you feel shitty because of the decisions you made. They're doing it because they figured out how to make money, and man, it's not as hard as you thought, and I want to help you do it too. But man, when you go home for Thanksgiving, your fat aunt, she don't want to hear that shit. She doesn't want to hear about it. She thinks that you've gotten too fancy and too big, and that's the thing you guys need to understand is that you can't live your life like that. All right. Next one, we're going to go over building a brand. We could go over this whole thing. We've already had some other guys come up here and talk about this. So I'm going to go over 5 quick ways if you guys want to build a brand. He talked about before about podcasts. So these are real quick 5 ones. Ready? Podcast, Panel show, which is kind of like a podcast. So it's a podcast, but you're going to need like a soundboard. By the way, you need to write this down. Audio is more important than video. Audio is more important than video. I have a second audio recording right here going. Audio is more important than video, okay? If you have 10 girls on your show, whatever, you're doing a panel show like Fresh and Fit or whatever, if you do that, audio is more important than video. So panel show, podcast, okay? Direct to camera. You guys have seen the Hermosi clips that he does, right? That's direct to camera. Tai does some of those, okay? Then there's reaction videos. You guys seen those are really funny. Super Ray 14K is my favorite reaction clip of all time. Okay, reaction, and then there's direct-to-camera reaction. Oh, man on the street, man on the street. By the way, man on the street is so easy. If you guys have a fear of approaching people or fear of talking in public, take 2 iPhones, have one of them be your microphone, and have the other one just be sitting there filming, and do man on the street. Your iPhone is amazing in the fact that it will do auto ISO, it will do auto focus, it will do auto white balance, okay? And then the audio, when you're talking and I'm louder and she's quieter, it'll actually it'll level out the audio. Your iPhone is tremendous for being a microphone. So you guys can have one sitting here doing man on the street videos and someone's filming them. You guys can do that. I would recommend you trying those 5 ways to build a brand. There's obviously way more to it than that. There was a question before about organic or paid, and somebody mentioned Alex Hermosi. Alex does not say to not do paid. What he said was organic is the easiest way to get the cheapest clients, but if you get paid dialed in, you are going to crush it. You will have infinite leads. And most people who do not build a brand or don't have a brand that stays popular forever, you're gonna have to run organic traffic at some point. You're just going to have to. The third way was affiliate, and we'll get into that later. But I have, right now, if anybody, you wanted to go to Men of Action Mentoring right now, /affiliates, any of you guys can sell my program and I'll give you 10%. Like the affiliates is great, but what I ideally want, I would like 1/3 of my revenue to come from organic, 1/3 of my revenue to come from paid, and 1/3 of my revenue to come from affiliates. I want multiple ways of being able to protect myself in case the winds change direction, okay? Giving value for free, this is building your brand. So what we talk about your podcast, you guys, so who here, I was talking to some gentleman in the back just a second ago, and the guy's making millions and millions a month, and I wanted to pick this guy's brain, and I was just thinking, if this guy, all he did was go on IG Reels and just talk for 90 seconds about how he went and got his first $500,000, I would listen to all this. And all you'd have to do that is for free. So many of you guys have so much value to bring, but you think because you aren't as charismatic as Andrew, that you think that you won't be able to do that. And you can, you absolutely can. There is something that everyone, you're in Tai Lopez's house right now. There's something every single one of you can do that you're so good at that you could absolutely talk about and give value. So I want you to concern yourself with giving value, and do not concern yourself with how many views it gets. Do not concern with yourself with how many views it gets. There's a couple reasons why. The first reason why you don't want to concern yourself with is because you are going to screw up a bunch of times in the beginning. Anybody remember the first episode of, the very first episode of, hold on a second. The first episode of Joe Rogan's podcast? Yeah, none of you heard it. So Joe Rogan did the first episode of his podcast in a closet because he wanted to get the audio right. And then he just started having a couple of his buddies that were comedians come on. In these first podcasts, he sounds terrible. He doesn't sound very good. It barely sounds like he knows what he's talking about. But you do these things because you get to go back and watch yourself on camera. That's one of the modules in my program. Watching yourself and giving yourself feedback is really, really important in order to do that. And again, doing that, building a brand along with those 5 other ways that I talked about, that's what's most important for you to do. So remember the 5 ways we talk about. You start a podcast, you can do a panel show, you can do reaction videos, direct to camera, or man on the street, or some derivative of any one of those things. Do I need to go? He's about to come out? Okay, anyway, we talk about organic versus paid. As far as back-end stuff is concerned, this goes over sales team. By the way, if you guys want to know, for any of you who does anybody here do direct-to-cart and have no sales team? You do direct-to-cart, you have no sales team. Who here has a sales team? Okay, the sales team is incredibly complex. I want you to think about it as it is the 500 horsepower engine in the Lamborghini. That's what the sales team is. It is constantly braking and has to be tuned. So just know that anything over, if you're going to sell a product over 3K, you generally want a sales team. Anything under 3K, you can probably go direct to cart. And then these are the 2 main things. Delegation. The E-Myth, you guys all need to read the E-Myth. And the other one is buy back your time. As soon as you guys are making, Ryan Pineda says $250,000 a year. As soon as you cross 250, you should be buying, someone should be taking your car to the your clothes to the dry cleaners. Someone, not because you're a big time, but because your value per hour is up so high that you need to buy someone and delegate to someone to fire yourself from every single part of your business. I used to make my own reels, and now I cannot believe I did that. I used to make my own reels, and now I have a guy who lives in Nigeria, and his life is a whole lot better because I am paying this dude a fucking ton of money to do it right now, and he makes my reels, and he churns out 4 a day for me. Got it? So you want to buy back your time. Dan Martell wrote the book, Buy Back Your Time. This is a must read. Any of you who have any success going on in your life, you must read Dan Martell's book. And then the E-Myth, it talks about delegating. I'm in one of the very few people where I actually built my brand, and I do fulfillment. I do all of the coaching, and I'm in sales. Most of you should not be doing that. You should pick one of those 3 departments, and that we should be doing. Anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
$3,000 over sales, $3,000 under, no sales.
So the way these are not my definitions. 0 to 500 is low ticket. 500 to 3,000 or 2,000. I forgot what it is. Oh, and what is it? 2,000 or 3,000? I forgot. Yeah. 2,000 to 3,000. That's a mid ticket, and then high ticket is 3,000 or more. I've heard, like Wes Watson told me 2,000 is high ticket, and I heard Ryan Pineda say 3,000 is high ticket. So it's somewhere in that area. Yeah. At that point, you need a sales team. I'm sorry, I don't care what you guys think. You need a sales team. Go ahead. Yeah. So this is so crazy. So the concept that you think you're going to cannibalize your own product, it's not like that. It was Wes who told me this one time. He goes, dude, you're not selling your product, you're selling your life. We're in Ty's house. We're in his house. Most of you guys thought about the Lamborghini. You guys, Ty was giving you information, but he was selling you his life. That's why you bought it. When you give away stuff for free, do not worry about giving away too much stuff for free. You're proving you're awesome. Other people talk shit. Mike Tyson knocked out 14 people in 1986. He didn't care about people talking shit. You can produce high value content, then they will have to buy you. I told Owen this one time. So I stole all of Owen's products before I met him. Owen, have I told you the story before? I stole Blueprint Decoded. I stole all of his products. And then when I finally met him, I took him to dinner. I was like, bro, I owe you. I'm so sorry. Hey, man, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.